portion of it, of what you're asking is if there is some availability for you to get help, would you consider that? I would think so with definitely the business tax and renters license.
Okay.
I think that's a missed opportunity to collect revenue from the town. I think if you have one person dealing with just business tax licenses and renters licenses, that is a huge amount of money that could be coming back into the town to do whatever what we needed to. I know that some of the cycle system for the guys in the industrial areas that own these bays, they flip-flop tenants every other 6 months. But we may not know that, and when I go out and take a look at it, I'm thinking that it's someone from 6 months ago, but it may not be. It's some completely new person. So if we had a dedicated officer to look at business tax licenses and even renters licenses, we have transit owners that don't live in these areas. They live out of state. If we had someone dedicated to finding out if these people are still currently here, or if they moved on, making sure that those licenses are paid to the town, that's a benefit to us. But a code officer is only as good as the ordinance. And I think that there has to be something done with our ordinances to change and give us teeth. I drive around and I look at tons of vehicles that are sitting in garages, not inoperable, they work, but they're parked in the front setback, side setback, in the backyard. We don't have a code specifically that says no unpaid parking. And when we say no unpaid parking, that means no vehicle is allowed to be parked on the grass. If we had something like that, it would be a phenomenon, absolutely.
Thank you. Yes.
Okay, anything else, Councilman Smith?
No, that's good.
Okay, Councilwoman Gray?
Thank you.
I am very glad you said that because sometimes I think that municipalities leave too much of a responsibility when it comes to code enforcement on the code enforcement officer. Because the municipality itself is responsible for certain things which they don't do. And they won't do it, and they say, and what you just said is very relevant. Because, no, you don't have that. That is not your responsibility. It is the responsibility of the municipality. And I want you to remember that you said that.
Okay. What, Vice Mayor?
Yes, I'm so thankful that you made mention of the need for upgrading our code enforcement ordinances. I think that is a very good point, and I think that'll be time well served of additional staff to work in that regard as well. So I do hope that that'll be part of the assignment of the additional temporary staff, because this is something that can be done on short term, but it can be addressed and properly brought before us for review and approval. And I'm all in favor of that.
Okay, Councilman Smith, and then we'll wrap up.
Yeah, I'll be brief. Just kind of tugging on Vice Mayor's comment about the ordinance, but I had said it to you as well. I know in the not too far future, distant past, that it was brought to this council, and it was brought by an attorney that we wanted to kind of change some ordinance. Do you remember that? It was passed. He was asking us as a council, as a body, because I was up here to work on those ordinances, and so apparently I don't want to assume anything. There's still some work to be done in getting it cleaned up. And so, my question as a council body whole, we've been given, based on marching orders by the attorney, to kind of get something with some teeth to it. So it's great to be told or suggest, not that's wrong, but suggest that we work on that ordinance. But we have to go beyond. There's a suggestion part. If you've been told an attorney's, like he's attorney, mention it. And so it's not, I would hope it's not rocket science that we can just clean some things, a lot of this in place, but it gives the enforcement side another tool.
Okay.
So that's my comment. And so I I would hope that, you know, from the attorney standpoint, that they was something, because that was also suggested on similar municipalities our size, how the ordinance was written. And so I'm hoping that, you know, we know what we need to do, we just gotta go ahead and,
Okay.
make it happen.
Okay. All righty. Okay, thanks. Appreciate it. And all good comments. However, let's come back to task, and we can have that. We'll pick that up again after we get to the comments, so we can pick that back up for additional discussion if you like tonight. But as it relates to the actual action item here, just one question, right? Because I'm trying to, within my mind, number one, free money to enhance something that's taking place in the town is always good to me. Free is always a good word for me. But now, and so the question, without offense, would simply be this. Now, would adding additional person for this period of time, whether it's April 7th through September 1st, would it actually help in identifying additional violations, perhaps some illegal activity going on? That would also, would it hinder the process, having an additional person? Question to our code enforcement officer.
I don't think it would hinder, no, sir.
Okay.
More, again, like what I said, if you've got someone focused on those two big areas that actually are creating revenue coming back to the town, I think it's a good idea.
Okay.
Other municipalities have business tax officers that focus solely on new business or renewing of business licenses, creating extra revenue for that municipality.
Okay. Right, and also so that I'm clear, that, for instance, you have the evenings, this person would have the afternoons, in the mornings, or during the course of the day. Are there any violations that take place during the course of the day that a code enforcement officer have to see taking place in order to cite it? And before you answer, because just in my mind, of course, I'm not a code enforcement officer, are there possibilities where people are violating and then around 4 or 5 o'clock they shut down and the violations cease?
No, violators violate 24 hours a day.
Okay.
7 days a week.
Okay.
There is no peak time really, but they do what they do all the time, whether it's in the morning or whether it's in the evening.
Okay. Alrighty. So if I had an auto shop and I had 20 autos in my bay, right? And during the course of the day, I get them all out because I want to work on cars inside during the course of the business day. Is that a violation to have those 20 cars out there without a permit?
Unless they seek the permit through the town, it's a violation.
Right. So if there's no permit, then that's a violation. So that would be an example of something that could be caught, perhaps, if that, as an example.
Illicit discharges where people are dumping oil, usually that stuff is done.
In the cloak of night.
So it's like I said, it's pretty much all.
Right. Okay. Righty. So with that, if there's any, okay, let the record reflect that Councilwoman Green is going to step off the desk for just a moment. Okay. Alrighty. So unless there's any new comments or questions?
Well, I know we
Vice
didn't
Mayor?
clarify, Mr. Mayor, the one point was the dollar amount per hour.
Mhm.
Does that still need to be discussed further, or is it a?
That can be in the motion, if there is a motion. Mhm, certainly. Okay.
Did you want to find if there is some concern from our code enforcement officer that there's a variation in our salary? Is that something you were bringing it forward? I thought that was part of your.
No, it was just to kind of get some idea so that everybody was clear about the process itself and what enhancements could take place. Right, the consensus that we did have when I was going to each council person was as it relates to the salary. If we felt comfortable ensuring that both persons, whomever that other person would be, would also be at the same rate. Yeah, so that was my way of consensus. Okay. Alrighty, so with that, if there's any other questions or comments, any new questions or comments? Okay, that being said, alrighty, so we do have this, have before us item 7F, and this, of course, is whether or not we want to extend an agreement to Nick Gary for the provision of additional code enforcement services during peak hours, not to exceed 10 hours per week at $25 an hour. That would be the motion, or that would be what we're discussing. Is there a motion to that effect or an amendment to that suggestion? Okay, motion has been made that we seek to extend an agreement to Nick Gary for the provision of additional code enforcement services during peak hours, not to exceed 10 hours per week at $25 an hour. Is there a second to that? Okay, Councilman Smith seconded. Okay. Well, certainly. Now, are there any questions on the motion? Seeing none, roll call, please.
Councilmember McConnell,
No.
Councilmember Smith,
Yes.
Vice Mayor Johnson.
Yes.
Mayor Alderman.
Yes.
That passes 3-1.
Thank you so much. Our next item is item 7G, and this is a discussion on the approval of a contract for the emergency repairs of Power Systems LLC in the amount not to exceed $9,933.02. Okay, Mr. Jones?
Good evening, everyone.
Good evening.
That's gonna be for, the transfer switches. It's gonna be 2 transfer switches, one at, Channel 12 on lift station, the other one at, Ashley Park for the Will 6. The switches are on the transfer kind, it's basically a switch, except the power goes out, the pin goes out, that switch automatically transfers from utility to generator. So instead of anybody doing it, it just transfers itself. Another one is 1,000 something for the master station. Those 3, the 2 generators don't work and the master generator doesn't work right now. I have 3 that don't work at all. Another thing for a, Channel 12 is a epoxy coating for the fuel tank. Another 17 belts, 217 belts. And, what else? Oh, and then you got, reason why those transfer switches are going out because of the sunlight. They're not covered. And APS didn't cover them when we put them in. They were never covered, so it's also a $86 item to cover them all. Basically 10, so now this doesn't happen to us.
Okay, and that's all inclusive of this amount?
Yeah, all three.
Okay. Ready, anything else before we go to questions? Okay. All righty, questions, comments, Councilman Smith, then Vice Mayor.
All right,
I'm sorry, just before you do, let the record reflect that Councilwoman Green has rejoined the dais. Councilman Smith?
okay, now one-on-one, so, we do get those from time to time. I made mention, especially if I saw the need for these switches. I would hope in the future, when we bring something of this magnitude to the council, I don't see it in the packet, so I don't have a clue of it unless I be looking at the packet or what it actually is. I would love to have seen a burned out switch. So is it in the packet or I'm missing what the switch looks
Yeah,
like?
picture.
I sent them directly in.
All right, so again, my question would be, especially when we're bringing it towards council for approval or whatever, that at least, and Sharon, you said you sent it to Kim?
I got them today and I got them.
Okay.
To you.
Okay.
The email.
Okay, so, I don't, but just,
You had requested it.
yeah, so I kind of requested it, so, what I'll do, since we've already 2/3 into this process, Mr. Roosevelt, I'll talk to you offline on that, but since, it's a need for it, those switches are pertinent to the operation of these areas, we're gonna move forward, and so, I'll have to get with
It's
that later.
basically a large stainless steel panel and it has a digital readout on it.
I understand, but I'm just saying in the future.
Okay.
Thank you.
However, now, I am definitely a novice in this field,
You are?
but I try to listen and learn. I thought about 6-8 months ago, we had a discussion about the switches and that they were being properly addressed at that time.
There was not the transfer switches.
Was it the transfer switches?
No, ma'am.
Okay, because I know it had to do with if the power goes out, the switch would
Yeah, we
switch.
switch it on. That's what these are, but the transfer switches are there. So we have ATS transfer switches on every large generator. But some of the panels now, they all work except those 2 because the panels are burnt out. And so that means that when FNL goes from utility to generator power. So if FNL cuts out, that panel will know that FL is not there, so that panel automatically starts the generator and transfers power from FNL to that generator. So right now they don't work because the panels are burnt out.
Okay.
So if you actually had to go out there and see if there's a storm coming, you would have to go out there, open the panel, grab the wrench, and manually turn that to the generator.
Okay, I understand it's essential, I just was understanding.
That's just, that was made to, generator maintenance. The switches weren't, those two switches weren't burned out.
Oh, I see, the one that put out then.
Yeah.
They are now, so they have to be. That's quite understood, thank you.
Okay, other comments or questions? Councilman McConnell?
That's why we have Roosevelt.
And if you do wanna see a transfer switch or ATS controller, I can walk you right there, probably 10 yards from this one right there. It's right there, so if you wanna ask me, I wanna see it right there. There's one right now, cause all of them have it.
Okay,
I concur. Yeah, I can walk right there.
righty, so we'll arrange that after the meeting, and, okay, great. Okay, we'll get that. Okay, any other questions or comments as it relates to the item? Okay, hearing none, motion, please. This is item.
I'll make a motion we approve for the contract emergency repairs for 3 generators between the town of Mangonia Park and K&M Power Systems LLC in the amount of $9,933.02.
Motion has been made. Is there a second? Has been properly moved and seconded. The second has been made if the person who made it, no, just let me clear. So if the person who made the second wants to withdraw, so,
I have no reason at this point, but you can have discussion and you can make a determination.
okay, so noted. That has been properly moved and seconded. Questions? Councilman Smith?
Second, what, is the plan if those 3 switches that we have motion and second get replaced and it happens again? What is a plan then? Because they are pricey. So since it's been motion and second, basically what preventive maintenance where we're gonna continue buying the switches?
I just told you we're gonna put, at $86, we're gonna put a basically shield on
Okay.
it that when they're gonna put them on all of them in town. That's not just for those, that's for every one of them.
And that's gonna prevent from going from commercial LPNL shutting and losing power, kicking in and won't destroy another
Yes,
switches.
it's a digital readout on the screen. And right now, the way they're set up, there's nothing over it. So it's just basically like a tent screen, so it actually keeps the sun from beating this digital readout. Like if you go out, I showed you the unprotected, so the sun is killing them.
So UV rays, let me understand, UV rays are killing a $3,000 part unless we put a cover over it.
Yes, yes. We already did one at Highlight before. We did one at Highlight 2 years ago.
Well, that's my concern. I would hope the whole council is concerned because, they do break.
Yeah.
But, as because they break, we should put some things in place. And so you did mention that earlier, I forgot you briefly.
That's
So
what the
that's-
$86, it's a
That's gotta
$86 part,
be, that's gotta be the, condition. If there, I mean, since it's been second, that's the only thing I would do. But I have a problem with the second.
Other questions on the motion? Righty, hearing none. Roll call, please.
Councilmember Graham,
Yes.
Councilmember McConnell, sorry.
Yes.
Councilmember Smith,
Just don't call me, Serena.
Vice Mayor Jackson,
Yes.
and Mayor Older.
Yes. Okay. Well, thank you so much. Our next item is item 7H, and this is a request for the consideration to award a contract to Sunshine Services Unlimited for road repairs at 52nd Street, Columbia Circle, Jeffrey Avenue, the town's water plant at 5705 Candlewood, and Lake Shore, in an amount not to exceed $4,926. Ken?
That's correct. Mr. Mayor, Vice Mayor, Council, in your package, you will see some pictures and the proposal, the agreement with Sunshine Services. The 2 areas on Columbia Circle are definitely on an emergency. So they're ready to start. If you approve this, we did include pictures of various locations. One location is actually 2 spots at the water plant. And for our issues forum last week, we did hear a member of the community talk about the water plant and need to enhance that a little bit. This is more of a safety factor, and we'll correct that. A couple of different areas on 52nd Street. One of our police officers gave me a call and said, you know, we need to look at this. And also one of our business owners, she keeps pretty good tabs on potholes, especially on 52nd Street. So the item on Jeffrey, that is an area that puddles up real bad. That's where the house used to be. And the driveway that is still there, and it is on our right of way. We can remove that, and that would help take care of some of the puddling. I'll be happy to answer any additional questions if you have. And we did, there is the location on Lake Shore that we amended the agenda. That is one of the pictures, and it is included in the estimate.
Okay, alrighty. Just while you're deciding, and I was remiss when we spoke earlier, and it's too late to do it at this point, but just as information, we may have to amend, just depending. There is a slight sinkhole, and I failed to make mention of it, saw it last night, neighbor and I, a slight sinkhole on Elmwood, just right on the west side of the driveway coming from my home. So I'm not sure if it's an underground pipe or, so we may have to revisit this after tonight. We follow through what we have on the table tonight, but I did want to at least share that information that we may have to come back and amend. Okay, so with that, any questions as it relates to the proposal before us?
Mr. Mayor, since you say come back and amend it because of that sinkhole, so I guess have the engineer had even a chance to look at it, or you just discovered it last night?
Last night, right.
Right, so can we move forward with the pictures and the areas? Are we gonna have to go back and revisit the whole thing?
Right.
There's a lot of areas that
Okay.
that needs.
Right. Now, we do have this,
Specify.
right, clarifications. We do have this before us tonight to act on. What I wanted to do is just sort of preface that there may be the potential that we may have to come back. It could be a separate procurement, or it could just be an amendment to this. Once it's investigated, it could be, I don't know if there's underground utilities in the middle of the road that have given way and now something fallen. We'll give opportunity for our utility department to go out and take a look, because it may be something minor. But I just wanted to put that out there, just in case you got something came right back, now we need to amend it. But we're going to focus on what we have before us here tonight.
I'm glad you said that and brought it to the council's attention. Because it could be an easy fix, or it could be something major where they have to concrete and bedrock and everything, and then fix it. So can that be, and now I'm kind of directing it to staff or the attorney, can that be something, a separate procurement totally, so we move forward with Columbia and these other?
Yes, that's what I'm stating.
Okay.
Yes, that we move forward with what we have in front of us.
That's my only concern, because a lot of those have been on that wish list, and I'm hoping that we can rectify those things. And then it's good that you're bringing it to the council attention, but that could be serious or it can be an easy fix.
Right. Again, it was solely mentioned so that if indeed you saw something come back before you, you would already had advance information, not as it relates to impacting what we're discussing tonight. Okay, I'm sorry, Councilman Green? Oh, I'm sorry, I thought you had your hand. My apologies. Okay, any other comments or questions? Okay, alrighty, seeing that there's no other questions or comments, what is your pleasure? Of course, this is item 7G that we're considering. And for consideration, what is your pleasure? I'm sorry, H, my apologies. Item 7H. Is there a motion?
The motion that we request consideration of water contract Sunshine Service Unlimited for road repairs on 57 Columbus Circle, Jeffrey Avenue, water plant, Candlewood, and there was a tweak of Lake Shore, an area on Lake Shore, so I don't see it here, but that's what I motion that we consider.
Okay, motion has been made that we approve the contracting of those items, those services for those areas made mention in the motion. Is there a second? It has been properly moved and seconded. Are there any questions on the motion? Hearing none. Roll call, please.
Councilmember Green,
Yes.
Councilmember Mosley,
Yes.
Councilmember Smith,
Yes.
Vice Mayor Johnson.
Yes.
And Mayor Allen.
Yes.
The Constitution.
Thank you so much. If you would, we have the agenda that we had approved. I'm not sure if we have anybody on. We normally have public comment as well. So what we'll do, if there is any public comment as we go through the approved agenda items, feel free to just kind of raise your hand or motion, and we will acknowledge your presence and your need to or desire to comment. Thank you so much. So at this point in time, we'll,
Sorry to interrupt you. Does that go also for the online observer?
yes, that's who I'm addressing.
Okay.
Yes. Okay, so with that, we'll go now to our reports. Amity, to have you first.
Nothing specific for you, sir, tonight.
Okay, all right, thanks. Okay. Deputy Woods? Yeah. Okay, Deputy Woods? Sergeant Woods, I'm sorry, that's why he didn't answer. Sergeant Woods, you have anything for law enforcement? I see that Rodney left you all alone, so.
No,
Okay.
we have some things going on right now, sir. He has
Oh,
to address.
okay, okay.
As reported, and just to let you know, with some of these code enforcement issues, we're not allowed to be code enforcement officers per our contract with the town, but we do work with code enforcement, and we have been working on some issues. Working in this town is a little bit different than working in the county area where I have this accessibility to code enforcement 24 hours a day. So things do take a little bit longer, especially when the sheriff's office is involved, because we're doing criminal investigations, not ordinance investigations. And we do have, here's the book I can hold up, but we do have criminal cases that we are working on here in the town of Mangonia Park right now. We are hearing the concerns, and the people that have the concerns contact me directly. I can work on those as first-person complaints. That will help me a lot. You can tell your constituents. Thank you. You'll have a good night.
Thanks, we appreciate it. Any questions for Sergeant Woods? Any questions?
I walked away. I apologize.
Councilwoman Green?
I'd just like to make a comment when and I was looking at the news today, and they were talking about there's a piece of legislation that is before, I think it's before, I know the state senate or Congress, about tethering of cats and dogs. And an NFL was pictured in the paper today with his pit bull. Yes, and it's a good thing. It's a good story.
It's illegal.
Well, that's where I'm going, and I just wanted to share this with my fellow council people, is that he wants to pass the law that it is against that we should not be tethering dogs. And I'm glad you're here, because isn't that already a law in Palm Beach County where you cannot tether your dog?
And an ordinance in Palm Beach County, ma'am.
Pardon?
That's already a state statute.
Well, that's where I'm going,
And an ordinance in Palm Beach County, yes, ma'am.
but that's the type of thing, code enforcement, that you would be involved in, and I just wanted to share something.
That wouldn't be code enforcement, ma'am. That would be criminal investigation.
That's where I was.
And there's certain elements with that, ma'am. When we say generalized tethering of animals, there's certain other elements that you have to meet, like providing shade and water. So we have to meet all the elements before we can do a criminal case, whereas code.
That wasn't where I was going. You cut me off.
Yeah. Oh, I apologize.
May I finish?
Yes, ma'am. Go ahead.
I was getting back with we have 3 huge pit bulls, and I was walking my dog. I decided to take a different route the other day because there was a pit bull on Boardman Avenue. So I decided to take it. And as I'm walking, a new person who just purchased a new home, and they didn't see me, and they opened the door, and the dog charged. And it scared me to death. And my dog, but Ben Smart, he ran, and the man came out and he said, "I apologize." He said, "I won't do it again." And it reminded me of the pit bull a couple of years ago when I was walking down Boardman Avenue, and Polly has a pit bull, beautiful dog, but I didn't know that it was gentle. And the only thing that saved me and my dog, we had to call the sheriff department, and we did. And that's where I was going, that sometimes you have to get involved, or we have to call you all. That's why I was going through, I was trying to give you a compliment.
Okay.
But,
One of the problems we've been facing since I've been here is we're getting third, fourth party information, and we'd like to get directly from the person that has the complaint. We will take care of items when they're addressed.
but let me ask you a question. Is there anything wrong with us notifying you or letting you know? Because there are 3 homes in this neighborhood that I know of that are owners of those huge dogs.
Yes, ma'am. After the meeting, ma'am, I'll get with you. I'll give you the phone number directly. Please address that with me. I will address it.
Thank you. I have the,
Thank you, ma'am.
Okay. Okay, fine, thanks. All right, thanks so much. We appreciate it. So at this time, Ken?
Mayor, Vice Mayor, and Town Council, thank you for your time this evening. I know we had a lot of action items, and your patience is greatly appreciated, so thank you. Just a couple of things. As it relates to code enforcement, I really wanted to thank Officer Cartwright and Sergeant Wood. We had a fantastic issues forum Monday a week ago. A lot of good information, and just so everyone will know, it is on YouTube, so you can go back and look at it. I would encourage that. As it relates to code enforcement, I think everyone might be surprised to know how much is actually going on there. I would encourage all council members to get up with Officer Cartwright, Phil at some point, let him share that with you one-on-one. And I think you'll see we're actually doing some good work. So, now, aside from code enforcement, we have a request from one of our residents, Miss Diane Fredericks, who has put me in touch with I believe he's a pastor, Wayne Barton, who does food giveaways in the southern end of the county, I believe. I spoke with him a week or so ago. He's willing to come to Mangonia Park and, supply everything, no cost to the town, and do a kind of a drive-through like we did similar at the park last summer. He's willing to do that. We are looking at a date, and I just want to go maybe a consensus, or you can speak to me one-on-one if you like. Mother's Day weekend, Saturday, May 8th. I think he's proposing a 10 to 12 time frame, and it could work at the park. It could work here, like similar to what we did at Christmas. I'd be interested in your feedback. You don't necessarily have to do that tonight, but if you do, that's fine. So that opportunity is there for our citizens to food giveaway. And I know the Sheriff's Department's already doing a great job of that, and it's not to, obviously not to compete with what they're doing, but just a different avenue. I think most of you at this point, in fact, I'm sure we have had some one-on-one discussions anyway about Gulfstream Goodwill and their desire to put in a charter school next door. And so that is moving along. I'm trying to address that with you one-on-one. Maybe at some point we can have them here to do a presentation, and you can ask questions, and we'll see what they have. But just to give you an update on that. I think in my last couple of managers' reports, I've included a letter from Rice Capital LLC, the new owners of 1132 46th Street. They submitted a letter requesting a lien reduction. Their request, and this isn't obviously for action tonight, just kind of preparing you a little bit. The lien request is, or the request to reduce their $82,000 lien down to $2,900. I can speak more with you one-on-one if you like. A couple of you I have already. But they would like this to be on the next available agenda if possible, if council is ready. And I want to give a shout out to our maintenance personnel who made the grounds look absolutely beautiful. You probably noticed the mulch as you came in today around the building and up on the berm. Looks great. So thanks to Roosevelt and crew on that.
Thanks.
The town clerk has started an initiative with IT and also our security consultant to enhance our security methods here at Town Hall, the water plant, and at the community center. Now she's going to begin to look at things, and this is her own initiative, to look at new and improved ways with the modern technology of clocking in and clocking out, perhaps with a face recognition or a thumbprint recognition, those kind of things. So we are looking into some of these more modern ways of doing things, so that's a great initiative. Sherry, the paving projects that we talked about a couple of times this past winter, they should be starting this month, and maybe even as soon as the middle of this month. That would be on East and Fairfield and 53rd Street. We had an item earlier tonight related to the sanitary sewer project. That part of the project has been completed where we put the line down. Now the other contractor is connecting properties to the sewer line. And that should be wrapping up by the end of this month. And I needed to, I don't guess I need to, but I have the desire to put something on public record. I have been approached by one council member in regard to name recognition of your former and now deceased town manager, perhaps at the park somewhere or the community center. So I wanted to bring that up, obviously not an action item tonight. You will get a new playground at the park at some point this summer, so there's some consideration. We've had a lot of people pass away in the last couple of years. Maybe some memorial to some of them. I just put that out there. And that concludes my report.
Thank you so much. Are there any questions we can? Okay. Well, thanks so much. So, Councilwoman Green?
I guess this would go to either the mayor or the town manager. Correct me when I start. I know all of us are familiar. It's been about a month ago where the mother and daughter who live on Boardman Avenue were featured in the Palm Beach Post and on the news about the accident that they both showed up at the same time. And okay, I knew we all knew about it. Right, Mary Wallace and her son. And I was going to ask the mayor and the town manager if the mayor or the town manager could maybe give them a letter or something in recognition of what they did, because Pardon? Okay, so you've done it? Okay. Okay, thank you very much. I knew you would be doing that. Okay. That was it. The rest of it under my comment.
Okay, well, you go right ahead. Well, with your comments at that point now.
Excuse me, and the other one, Mr. Mayor, Ken, what's the name of the trees you and I were talking about yesterday, and I asked you?
Palm trees, I'm not sure exactly what they are, maybe cabbage palms.
Okay, but thank you for educating me. I didn't know we owned them. For my fellow council members, at the end of Boardman where they're going to build Meritage, they're going to put the road. Those trees, I don't know whether you've seen them, Mr. Mayor, they are beautiful. And I thought, because I don't know anything about trees, I thought that they were going to destroy them. So I asked the town manager, if we could do something with them, and Mr. Town Manager told me that we own the trees. And so since they are beautiful and they are expensive, matter of fact, Holly, they have sold their home, and people are already buying their trees in their yard. That's how expensive they are. And so Mr. Metcalf had a good suggestion that maybe we could use the trees. Well, I asked him, could we put in the middle of 45th Street, since they're already ours.
Okay.
Instead, because they're going to destroy them and throw them away. If you see the trees, you know what I'm talking about. But that was just something we can think about. I just brought it up.
And to that, Meritage has agreed, if they're approved and everything goes through, that they would relocate.
Oh, really?
That's come up in a couple of conversations.
Beautiful, and so, and we, well, what about, since he's giving free thing, that, it's called that thing, the cul-de-sac, you see how raggedy that road is? We are responsible for, since we're, repaving roads, we're responsible for that because that's the end of Boardman Avenue, right? Okay, all right, that's it, and I could go into about time. So I can
Well, your comments.
And the other thing, the reason I keep bringing up code enforcement is, Mr. Metcalf, we have 4 departments. We have fire, code enforcement, Mr. Smith had fire. And, which one is it? Anyway, and that's always been a pet peeve of mine and our code enforcement officer. Sir, you made a comment, which I'm glad you did, and you were talking about revenue. And I personally think that code enforcement is one of the most important things in the cities, municipalities, anywhere that people live, because it beautifies your town, it cleans your town. And if your town is beautified and that's the purpose of keeping it clean and having an excellent code enforcement officer, that's what draws people who want to locate in our industrial area, if it's clean and well kept. That's why code enforcement officers are so important to the existence of our town, and that's why I am concerned about codes, especially now. And especially now that when your town starts changing and people start leaving, that means different people, because people have been in Mangonia Park, have been here for a long time. And we care about the way our town looks, so when people start coming in, they don't care as much as we do. And you mentioned the 5 cars that were parked there. Now, we've had a code enforcement, we have a code enforcement department. And as a matter of fact, our vice mayor was, I don't know where she still is, was over code enforcement. And I used to bring it all the time to our town manager, and I'm just being honest, and I'm on the council, and that's why I made the comments to you. Our codes in Palm Beach County, the entire code in our community is not 100 responsible. You are not 100 responsible for what our town looks like. We are, you know. And when I mentioned the mattresses, I didn't mean that for you. I was just letting you know that if we don't, because you can get, if the mayor writes a letter to Mr. Grosser and let Mr. Grosser know that you have been an eyesore in this town for, and I've been in 30 years, or the vice mayor who was over code enforcement. If that letter comes from her and let him know that this town is fed up with you ignoring our codes, it makes a difference. That's why I was glad you made that statement. And the reason I'm saying this is because now, and I want to say this to Mr. Metcalf, it's become to me very important that we right now become very strict or very cognizant of what is happening in our codes in this community, because I live there, I see it coming. And the reason I said that is about the mattress again. What's today? Sunday. Monday? No, I didn't say it to say you need to do it. I just said it to let my council people know. When people start buying your homes, renting your homes, and when we having people leave, that's when you really we need to start tightening down on our code. Okay. And I just want the town, since we are discussing it, I would like my fellow council people to just make me feel comfortable and let me know just what specifically do we do in strengthening our codes to make sure our town does not begin to deteriorate as I see it happening now. I really don't know what code enforcement officers are supposed to do because we've never done anything. I'm a council person. And I've complained, but I haven't seen anything that I have done to anything. All I do is complain to him and tell him I see stuff, but I'm not over the code.
Alrighty. So let me speak to your point, and then just very briefly, because we got to move on. In the meeting last Monday, very detailed information as it relates to what code enforcement is, the process, what we are, why it takes long, why it can be done quick and easy. So as Ken stated, I would encourage, and for those who are also on with us, go to our YouTube page and just pull up the meeting, the workshop from last Monday. What was that, the 30th?
29.
Last 29th. Right, and it has a lot of information as it relates to the process, particularly here in Mangonia Park. So I would encourage everybody to just take a look, right, and a lot of information be provided that we don't have time to provide here tonight. So, yes.
Mayor, I'm glad you said that, Mr. Mayor. Even though I apologize for missing the meeting, I wasn't coming to the meeting because of something more important. And I know you may say, well, why was something more important? And she's talking about code. I still live here. Now, that information that I missed, even though I'm glad maybe I missed it for a reason, it should be printed so we can share it with the community. We have to me personally, I need to be educated. And that's why I say again, I've been on this council longer than anybody sitting up here. And if you ask me what specifically do code enforcement officers do, or what are we responsible for as a council, I don't know, because I have never done it. All I do is try to take care of my community, and when I do it, they laugh at me.
Okay, right, and so what I'm doing, and this is not a
Sir,
cutoff,
and
this is not a cutoff at all, but again, just to
Well, you did, sir.
Okay,
But you did.
I'm sorry, point of order. What I did state, just a point of order, what I did state was that what we cannot do here, because that meeting was an hour and a half, so we can't regurgitate that whole meeting in an hour and a half. That's why I said it is available to anyone who wants, and so just a brief presentation as it relates to it as well. And what I really need to do is go to a committee, because I think there's still a misunderstanding about what our and I'm going to make the assignments tonight, about what our responsibilities are. We are liaisons, but let me just go to a committee real quick and just at whatever assignment takes place, what the responsibility of that council person is.
Mr. Attorney, before you, I think we need to get something straight tonight, and you are the attorney. Mayor Albury, I have sat here, how long have I been on this council now this year? Almost a year. And I have put up with disrespect. I have tried to, all I could, do all of your mimicking you could. I put up with it long enough. You have tried, and it has not worked. I am a grown woman. We are all council people. I respect everybody up here. I have taken the, you are the mayor. Yes, you are the mayor. Yes, sir, you are the mayor. But your power is no higher than all the rest of us. That's, you are there in name only. And I refused. I'm not going to do it anymore. And you need to correct it. You've already told us. You've already told him how he's disrespected.
No, she did not say that. I'm sorry. No. Because Ms. Green, what I
sir,
want to allow
you keep doing that,
because you keep putting
and
this,
I am not going.
No,
you don't rattle me.
Just a point of order.
No, point of order. I'm sick of
we're gonna
you
cut the
and
max.
her cutting me off.
We're going to take a 5-minute recess. Thank you so much.
No, I am, you, the vice mayor and the mayor have done it long enough. And you have also said to us, we need to learn parliamentary procedures. You need to teach us if we don't know it. That's all I asked you, because I'm not going to be putting up with the disrespect anymore.
Yes.
And I'm saying that to you.
Hold on, Councilwoman Green. If there is a recess, so if we could reconvene in 5 minutes, everyone, let's recess.
Oh, I'm fine, I'm not
There's
moving.
a 5-minute recess. Yes, we're going to cut it off.
I have to stop.
Ready? Are we all?
No.